I still remember the exact shade of the sky that evening, an odd mixture of orange and purple, the kind you see only when the day is trying to hold itself together before slipping quietly into the night. Funny, that sky looked more stable than my relationship did. We were standing outside the old park we used to visit every Sunday. The same park where we once carved our initials into a wooden bench. The same bench where she had once promised me, "No matter how hard life gets, I'll never leave your side." But today, her voice didn't have that softness. Today, she spoke like someone who had already decided my place in her life. Nowhere. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes were darting everywhere, to the road, the trees, her phone, anywhere but at me. I could sense the distance. Not just physical. Something inside her had already stepped away long before the conversation started. "I think we need to talk," she said. Those 6 words are never good news. Not when someone you love says them. My heart tightened. Still, I smiled. "Okay, talk." She sighed. "I don't think this is working anymore." My smile faded, but I kept my voice steady. "What's not working? We've always handled things together." She shook her head, not in disagreement, but in guilt, as if she wished the conversation would end without her having to say the real reason. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I'm trying," I said. "Tell me." She finally looked at me, and that was the worst part, because the moment her eyes met mine, I could see something had changed. She wasn't sad. She wasn't even angry. She was detached, like she was already someone else. "I can't keep living like this," she said. "You're trying, but it's not enough. I need stability, security, a future I can depend on." Her words cut deeper because they were delivered calmly. No drama, no hesitation, just cold truth. "And I can't give you that?" I asked. She looked away again, not answering. "Is it about money?" I asked, even though I already knew. The signs were there. The sudden expensive tastes. The comparisons. The silent disapproval when I worked extra hours but still didn't earn enough. The new friends she made, people who lived a lifestyle I couldn't match. She finally spoke. "Yes, it is about money." There it was. Raw and ugly. "Someone offered you more, didn't they?" I said quietly. She didn't flinch. She didn't deny it. "He takes care of things," she said. "Everything feels easy with him. I don't have to worry. I don't have to struggle. I think he's better for me." I had so many questions. Who is he? How long has this been going on? Were you honest with me at all? But none of those questions would have changed the truth she had already chosen. "I thought you loved me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She folded her arms, defensive. "Love isn't enough for life. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Harder? You're breaking something I thought was unbreakable." She stepped back, as if my pain was something she couldn't bear to stand near. Or maybe she just didn't want to feel guilty. "I'm sorry," she said. But the way she said it, she wasn't sorry for leaving. She was sorry for having to tell me. "Does he make you happy?" I asked. She hesitated. Not because she didn't know the answer, because she wasn't sure how honest to be. "He gives me a life I want," she said. "A life you can't provide." That one hit the hardest. "You know I'm working," I said. "You know I'm trying to build something. Just give me time." She shook her head again. "You've been trying for years. I can't wait forever. I need someone who already is something, not someone trying to become something." My chest felt heavy. So that's what I was to her, unfinished. Not enough. A project she didn't want to wait for. "And what about us?" I asked. "What about everything we've been through?" "Memories aren't a future," she replied softly. Her phone buzzed. I saw the name flash across the screen. A man's name. She didn't hide it. She didn't even turn the phone away. "He's coming to pick me," she said. I should go. That sentence, it was the final nail in everything we once were. "So that's it," I said. "You're ending everything we built, because he has money?" She stared at me, and for a moment, I thought she might break down. But she didn't. "I'm choosing a better future," she said steadily. "I hope you understand." Her logic made sense for her, but it shattered something inside me. "You're choosing him," I said quietly, making it real by speaking it out loud. "I'm choosing myself," she corrected. I always thought heartbreak would feel dramatic, like yelling or crying. But this was different. This was quiet, cold, like a part of me just froze instead of breaking. Her phone rang again. "He's here," she murmured. A sleek black car pulled up beside us. Expensive. Shiny. A symbol of everything she wanted. and everything I wasn't. She took a step toward it, then paused. "This is for the best," she said. I nodded slowly. "Maybe for you." She didn't ask me to take care. She didn't look back for one last moment. She simply walked toward the car, opened the door, and left. Just like that. Years of love, replaced by a man with deeper pockets. I stood there long after the car disappeared. People walked past me, the streetlights turned on, the night settled in. Yet I couldn't move. Not because I was broken, but because something inside me had changed. She didn't break my heart. She changed its direction. That night, I didn't swear revenge. I didn't plan to prove her wrong. I just decided one thing. If I ever rebuilt myself again, it wouldn't be for someone who left, but for the man I wanted to become. And that decision was the beginning of everything she never saw coming. The night she left, I didn't sleep. Not because I was crying, but because for the first time in my life, I could hear everything clearly. The silence, my heartbeat, my thoughts, my failures, and the cold truth. I had nothing left, not her, not motivation, not direction. Just an empty room, and a version of myself I no longer wanted to be. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the blank wall for hours. Her words replayed again and again, like a cruel reminder. I need someone who already is something, not someone trying to become something. I used to believe she would stand by me through my struggles. But instead, she treated my dreams like burdens. My goals like childish fantasies. My efforts like not enough. That night, the pain didn't destroy me. It awakened me. I realized something important. If the only reason she left was because I wasn't enough, then the only thing I needed to fix was me. Not to win her back. Not to impress anyone. Just to become someone I could finally look in the mirror and respect. White medium star, the first step. Facing reality. The next morning, I cleaned the entire house. Not because it was dirty, but because I needed to clear the mess inside my mind. Every memory of her felt heavy. The pictures, the gifts, the notes. All reminders of what I had allowed myself to settle for. I put everything in a box. Not to throw it away, but to remove it from the place where I wanted to rebuild myself. When I was done, the silence felt different. New, refreshing, almost peaceful. Then I opened my notebook and wrote a single sentence at the top. Start from zero, finish above everything. White medium star, step 2. Work without looking back. I was working a small job then, part-time, with unpredictable hours. It paid enough to survive, but not enough to build a future. I needed more. More income. More skills. More discipline. So I made a schedule. A brutal one. 4:30 a.m., wake up. 5 a.m., study business, finance, digital skills. 7 a.m., part-time job. 4 p.m., online courses. 7 p.m., gym. 9 p.m., work on my small business idea. Midnight, sleep. It wasn't magic. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't instant success. But it was structure. And structure saved me. While others slept, I worked. While others scrolled on their phones, I learned. While others went out, I hustled behind closed doors, unseen, unheard. No one knew what I was doing. No one saw the struggles, the failures, the late nights. And that was the best part. My progress became mine. My pain became fuel. My loneliness became strength. White medium star, step 3. The hunger to grow. The turning point came one night when I was studying online. I watched a video of a self-made entrepreneur who said something that stuck with me. Your success is designed in the hours nobody applauds for. Those words burned into me. No applause. No recognition. No support. Just me. And suddenly, that was enough. I spent the next months learning everything I could. Marketing. Sales. Investing. Business management. Technical skills. Personal development. Communication. I absorbed knowledge like a starving man who finally found food. I didn't realize when my mindset changed. When I stopped thinking about her. When I stopped caring about who left. When I stopped comparing myself to others. All I could think about was becoming better than the version of me that she walked away from. White medium star, step 4. Turning pain into power. Pain can destroy a person. Or it can sharpen them. For me, it became fuel. Whenever I felt tired, I remembered how easily she replaced me. Whenever I felt weak, I remembered her saying I wasn't enough. Whenever I felt like quitting, I remembered her walking toward that car. And suddenly, quitting became impossible. Slowly, very slowly, things started to change. My skills improved. My confidence returned. My business ideas became clearer. My savings grew. I began to look like someone who had purpose. People around me noticed. They said I looked different, calmer, sharper, more focused. But inside, I knew the truth. I was rebuilding myself. Not to prove her wrong, but to prove myself right. White Medium Star Step 5, the small business that changed everything. One evening, after months of studying and planning, I finally launched my first small online business. It wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. But it was mine. At first, nothing happened. No orders. No customers. No recognition. But I kept improving. I kept learning. I kept pushing. And one day, unexpectedly, my first sale came. It was small, barely worth anything. But that sale felt like a trophy. Because that wasn't just money. It was proof. Proof that I could build something without shortcuts. Proof that I didn't need someone to choose me. Proof that my value didn't depend on what I had, but who I was becoming. From there, things grew slowly, but steadily. One sale became 10. 10 became 50. 50 became 100. I didn't become rich overnight, but I became capable. And that was far more important. White Medium Star Step 6, a new version of me. Months passed. The seasons changed. And so did I. My shoulders felt lighter. My heart felt steadier. My mind felt sharper. I wasn't the same man she left. Not even close. The boy who once depended on her approval had turned into a man who depended only on his vision. The man who once felt not enough had become someone other people admired. And the heart that once broke so easily had rebuilt itself stronger than ever. One night, I stood in front of the mirror, not to check my appearance, but to confront my transformation. I looked at myself and smiled. For the first time in years, I didn't see the reflection of someone broken. I saw someone rising, someone earning his place, someone building a life, someone becoming the man he once dreamed of being. I whispered to myself, from zero to here. And deep inside I knew, this was only the beginning. For a long time, I believed that some people arrive in your life only once. And once they leave, no one else can fill that empty space. But I was wrong. Sometimes, life introduces you to someone who doesn't walk into your world with noise, sparks, or grand gestures, but with silence, softness, and a kind of warmth that heals places inside you that you didn't even know were hurting. That someone, the woman who changed my life, entered it when I least expected her, and when I needed her the most. White Medium Star, it started with a chance meeting. It was a rainy afternoon, one of those days when the clouds hang low and the air feels heavier than your thoughts. I was sitting in a small cafe, reviewing my business numbers and fixing a product issue. My laptop was open, my notebook filled with scribbles, my mind drowning in work. That's when someone rushed in through the door. Umbrella dripping, hair damp, cheeks flushed from the cold. She apologized to the waiter for the water she brought in, bowed slightly, and then sat at the table next to mine. I barely looked at her. I was focused on my work. But then something strange happened. I heard her humming. Soft. Calm. Almost unintentional. Like she wasn't singing to entertain anyone. Just comforting herself. Her voice blended with the sound of rain in a way that made the entire cafe feel softer. I don't know why, but for the first time in months, I looked up from my screen. She was sitting with her hands wrapped around a warm cup, her eyes lost somewhere outside the window, smiling faintly at the raindrops sliding down the glass. She didn't look perfect. She looked peaceful. And peace was something I hadn't seen in a long time. White Medium Star, the first words we shared. She noticed me staring reluctantly. Instead of looking away awkwardly, she smiled. Rain makes work hard, right? She asked. I blinked. What? She pointed at my screen. You look stressed. Or maybe the weather just makes it worse. I laughed quietly. Both, I guess. She tilted her head, studying my face like she was reading something behind it. I hope whatever you're working on goes well, she said. Simple words, yet they felt warmer than any sympathy I had received in months. Her kindness wasn't loud. It was gentle, like a soft hand placed on a wound. White Medium Star, a stranger with a familiar warmth. We ended up talking, just a little, about the rain, about work, about how she loved cafes because they made her feel alive. She said she visited this place often when she needed to reset her mind. Then I noticed her laptop. It was filled with notes about psychology, emotional healing, human behavior. You study this? I asked. She nodded. I work in the field. People fascinate me. I almost wanted to laugh at the irony. A woman who understood emotions crossing paths with a man who had been emotionally numb for months. Before leaving, she smiled again, a soft, genuine curve of her lips. It was nice talking to you, stranger. I expected that to be the last time I saw her. But life had different plans. White medium star, she appeared at every turning point. The next week, I saw her again, accidentally, at the same cafe. She recognized me instantly. You again, she laughed. This time I'm not stressed, I said. She nodded. Good. You look lighter. We didn't sit together, but we talked from our separate tables. Small conversations. Little exchanges. Nothing grand. And somehow, the cafe started becoming a place I looked forward to. A place where my world felt less heavy. A place where she existed. White medium star, she saw through me without trying. Weeks passed. My business improved. My routine stabilized. My confidence returned. And she was always there. Not directly in my life, but somewhere close enough to affect it. One evening, we ended up sitting at the same table. Not planned, just crowded. That's when she asked the question I didn't expect. Are you healing from something? I froze. What makes you say that? She shrugged softly. You just carry your silence like someone who's been hurt. For a moment, I felt exposed. But strangely, not uncomfortable. So I told her. Not everything, but enough. I lost someone, I said. She nodded. Not surprised, not judgmental. Then I'm glad you're finding yourself again, she said. You look like someone worth keeping. No one had said that to me in years. Not even myself. White medium star, she was strength without force. The more I talked to her, the more I realized something. She never tried to impress me. She never tried to fix me. She never gave pity. Her presence alone was enough to quiet storms. She listened without interrupting. She spoke without preaching. She cared without trying to save me. And slowly, the empty space inside me began filling itself again. Not with her, but with hope. White medium star, the day I truly noticed her. It wasn't love at first sight. It wasn't instant attraction. It wasn't dramatic. It was something much deeper. One evening, we were sitting outside the cafe. The city lights glowed softly. The air was cool. She was telling me a story about her childhood. Something funny, something simple. But halfway through, she suddenly stopped and looked at me. What? I asked. You're smiling, she said. I hadn't realized it. Not a fake smile. Not a polite one. A real smile. I touched my face, confused. I guess. I forgot how to. She shook her head gently. No, you just needed the right company. For the first time since my heartbreak, something inside me softened. I looked at her then, not as a stranger, not as a passing presence, but as someone who brought light to all the dark corners I thought I had learned to live with. White medium star, she became part of my journey without asking to. We started meeting more often, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by chance, sometimes because life aligned our schedules, sometimes because I secretly hoped it would. She helped me brainstorm business ideas. She encouraged me on bad days. She celebrated small victories with me, even ones I didn't consider significant. She never asked for anything in return. Her kindness wasn't transactional. Her presence wasn't conditional. Her affection wasn't hollow. She was like the calm after a long storm, a reminder that life didn't end where pain began. White medium star, the truth I didn't want to admit. One day, while talking to her, it hit me. I wasn't thinking about my ex anymore. Not her lies. Not her rejection. Not her choices. Not her new life. The part of my heart she once occupied was no longer empty. It wasn't replaced. Just healed. Not by force, not by desperation, not as a rebound. But naturally, quietly, gently, by someone who didn't even know she was healing me. White medium star, the woman who changed my life without trying. She never asked to be important. She never demanded a space in my heart. She never tried to become special. But she became all of those things anyway. Not because she was perfect, but because she was real. Real in her kindness. Real in her intentions. Real in her presence. And that realness changed everything for me. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't surviving. I was living. I wasn't empty. I was whole. I wasn't rebuilding alone. I had someone beside me. Someone gentle. Someone genuine. Someone irreplaceable. The woman who didn't save me, but reminded me how to save myself. And without even knowing it, she became the turning point of my life. I used to believe that once someone leaves your life, the door behind them closes forever. But life doesn't work like locked doors. Sometimes the past doesn't knock, it forces its way back in. And that's exactly what happened when Alina, the girl who once traded me for a richer guy, walked back into my world like she still had a place in it. That day started like any other. I was in my office, surrounded by clean white walls, soft jazz playing in the background, the smooth scent of imported wood polish drifting through my cabin. My company had just hit a new milestone, and meetings filled my schedule. I was a different man now, calmer, sharper, stronger. But even success couldn't prepare me for the storm that walked in unannounced. My assistant knocked once. "Sir," she said carefully, "someone is here to see you. She insists it's important." I didn't expect anything unusual. Maybe a client. Maybe an investor. "Send her in," I replied. The door opened, and everything inside me went still. Alina, the girl who left me without a backward glance. The girl who said I wasn't enough. The girl who chose luxury and status over love. But she didn't look the same. Her makeup was smudged like she had been crying. Her once confident eyes now carried a painful dullness. She was wearing expensive clothes, but somehow she looked smaller inside them. "Hi," she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, keeping my expression unreadable. "What do you want, Alina?" She swallowed hard. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't respond. I wasn't going to make this easy for her. Not after everything. She stepped closer, voice cracking. "Please, just listen to me once." There was a time I would have given anything to hear her ask me that. But that time was gone. "Fine," I said coldly. "Speak." She took a shaky breath. Daniel, the man I left you for, he was never what I thought he was. I thought choosing him would give me a better life. I thought I'd finally have everything I ever dreamed of. But I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I raised an eyebrow. "And this concerns me, how?" She flinched at my tone. "Because I didn't realize what I had until I lost it," she whispered. "I didn't realize you were the one who truly cared, until I saw what real happiness looks like." She looked at me with eyes full of regret, eyes that once looked down on me. "After everything he promised," she continued, "he cheated on me. He used me. And when I confronted him, he told me I was nothing but a temporary distraction. He threw me out of his life like trash." She wrapped her arms around herself, as if trying to hold the broken pieces of her soul together. "And then, I saw you. There it was. The real reason." She had seen me recently, on social media, at a public event, or maybe through mutual acquaintances. She had seen the transformation, the success, the confidence, the life she once thought I could never achieve. "What exactly did you see?" I asked bluntly. Her eyes watered. "You happy? Successful? Loved?" Her voice broke. "And with her?" Her. She meant the woman who changed my life. Mira. The one who helped rebuild me from my lowest point. The one whose presence made the air feel lighter. "She's beautiful," Alina whispered. "And the way she looked at you, it's the way I should have looked at you. I was stupid. Blind. I want another chance, please." Silence settled between us, heavy and suffocating. Once upon a time, hearing those words would have felt like a dream come true. I would have forgiven her without thinking, believing her tears. But now? Her tears didn't move me. They didn't hurt either. They meant nothing. I stood up slowly, walking around my desk until I stood right in front of her. She looked up at me with hope she had no right to feel. "Do you remember what you said to me the day you left?" I asked quietly. She stiffened. "You said," I continued, "love doesn't pay bills. Ambition without money is just a fantasy. I need someone who can give me the lifestyle I deserve." Her face paled. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did." I cut her off. "You made your choice, Alina. And you were right. Back then, I couldn't give you the lifestyle you wanted. But I wasn't the problem. Your greed was." She lowered her head, shoulders shaking. "People like you," I continued, "don't regret leaving. You regret losing comfort, losing chances, losing opportunities. You came back because you saw my success, not because you rediscovered my worth." She looked up, desperation shining through the tears. "That's not true. Stop lying," I said sharply. Her breath hitched. She stumbled back, tears spilling freely. "You think you know what you lost?" I leaned closer. "You have no idea." There was a moment of silence, long, painful, final. Then I delivered the blow she wasn't prepared for. "Because even if I had nothing today, even if I was still the same broke boy you left behind, I still wouldn't take you back." The words shattered her. She covered her mouth, choking on a sob. Her legs shook beneath her, and she collapsed onto one of the chairs. "I'm sorry," she cried. "I'm sorry, please. I made a mistake. I really loved you." "No," I said quietly. "You loved what I could become. And now that I've become it, you want to come back." I stepped away from her. "I've moved on." Just then the door opened slightly, my assistant again. "Sir, Miss Mira is here." Alina froze. And when Mira entered, her soft smile lighting the room, everything inside me settled into place. She walked to me effortlessly, as if her presence belonged beside me. She didn't even notice Alina at first. She was focused entirely on me. "You ready for lunch?" Mira asked, warm, gentle, undeniably loving. "Yeah," I replied softly. "Just finishing something." Then she noticed Alina, and Alina noticed her. The difference between them was day and night. One carried regret. The other carried love. One was my past. The other was my future. Alina stood up shakily, her voice barely audible. "So this is the woman who replaced me." "No," I said calmly. "She didn't replace you. She's everything you could never be." Alina's tears fell freely now, but I didn't feel satisfaction. No anger. No revenge. Just closure. She stepped backward toward the door, as if each step took a piece of her strength away. Before leaving, she whispered, "I hope someday someone hurts you the way I hurt myself by losing you." I didn't respond, because her pain was no longer my responsibility. When the door finally shut behind her, Mira looked at me, concerned. "Was everything okay?" I smiled. "Better than okay," I said. "It was the final chapter of a story I no longer need." She took my hand gently, intertwining her fingers with mine. "Good," she whispered, "because I'm here for your next chapters." And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Some moments in life feel unreal, like you're watching someone else's story unfold, not your own. And the day Alina fell to her knees and begged me to take her back, that moment didn't feel like triumph. It felt like closure. It happened 3 days after she came to my office. I thought she would disappear after that, swallow her pride and accept that her chapter in my life had ended. But some people only understand loss when the silence becomes unbearable. I was at a charity event that evening, a rooftop fundraiser crowded with businessmen, celebrities, and influential people. Soft golden lights hung from the ceiling like stars, music played low and elegant, and Mira stood beside me in a white dress that made her look like the calm after a storm. Everyone around us smiled, congratulated us, shook our hands. My name carried weight now. My presence meant something. And then, through the sea of people, I felt a familiar gaze burning into me. I turned. She was there, Alina, standing alone, clutching her purse so tightly her knuckles turned white. She looked out of place, like a ghost wandering into a world that no longer had space for her. Her eyes were red, not from makeup this time, but from crying. She waited for a moment when Mira walked away to speak with someone, and then she approached me slowly, like she was afraid I'd disappear if she blinked. "Can we talk?" she whispered. I stared at her, expression neutral. "We already talked," I replied. She bit her lip. "Not enough. Please, just 5 minutes." I didn't want another confrontation, but something in her face told me she wasn't here for drama. Not tonight. She was here for desperation. So I nodded once, and she followed me to a quiet corner of the rooftop where the city lights stretched endlessly below us. The wind lifted her hair, revealing the exhaustion she tried to hide. "I shouldn't have come here," she began shakily. But I couldn't stop myself. I waited silently. She took a breath. "Do you know what it feels like to lose everything? To realize you threw away the only person who genuinely cared." Her voice trembled. She wasn't pretending. This was raw. Broken. "When you looked at me in your office, there was nothing in your eyes," she said quietly. "No love, no hate, not even anger. Just emptiness." And I realized how deeply I had ruined things. She stepped closer, tears welling again. "I remember when you used to look at me like I meant the world. I took that for granted. I thought you'd always be there waiting for me, no matter how I treated you." A painful smile tugged at her lips. "I thought you'd chase me," she admitted. "But you didn't. Not once." I didn't respond. "And then," she whispered, "I saw you with her." The jealousy in her voice cracked like glass. "She looked at you with the kind of love I never gave. She stood beside you with the confidence I lacked. You looked complete." Her tears fell. "I'm the one who taught you how to love," she said softly. "And she's the one enjoying the version of you I always wanted." I exhaled slowly. "You taught me how to hurt," I corrected gently. She taught me how to heal. Alina closed her eyes, as if my words pierced straight into her chest. I know, she whispered. That's why I'm here. I need you to know something I never said. Something I didn't even realize until now. She looked up, voice breaking. I loved you. I really did. I just didn't love myself enough to stay. She took a step closer. I chose money because I was afraid I'd never become anything with you. Afraid of a future filled with struggle. Afraid of failure. But you proved me wrong. Her tears flowed freely now. You became everything I dreamed of. Everything I wanted. Everything I believed someone else could give me. Then it happened. She fell to her knees. Right in front of me. In the middle of the rooftop. With the city lights reflecting off her tears. I'm begging you, she cried. Please give me one more chance. I'll be better. I'll love you the way you deserved from the beginning. I'll choose you this time, only you. She clasped her hands together, head bowed like she was praying. Just don't walk away from me. Not again. Not now. People nearby glanced at us, murmuring softly. But I didn't care about the attention, not anymore. I knelt down, not to comfort her, but to look her in the eyes. Alina, I said quietly, stand up. She hesitated. Please, I repeated. Stand. She rose slowly, wiping her eyes with trembling fingers. You're crying over the memory of me, I said gently. Not the man standing in front of you. Her lips parted, breath shaky. You're in love with the idea of who I used to be, because that version still needed you. But the man I am today doesn't need saving. Doesn't need approval. Doesn't need validation. I took a step back, not in anger, but in finality. You're begging for a place in a life you already walked out of. You want to rewrite a story that already ended. Her face collapsed. I can't take you back, I continued softly. Not because I want to punish you. Not because I hate you. But because I've grown past that pain and past you. She swallowed hard, voice cracking. So that's it? After everything? No, I said. This is the closure you never gave me. The closure you needed. She looked down, tears dripping onto the marble floor. Before I could say another word, a warm hand slipped into mine. Mira. She had arrived silently, standing beside me with calm strength. Her presence was grounding, reminding me of everything I had built, everything I had become, everything I now protected. Mira looked at Alina, not with hate, but with quiet compassion. You loved him too late, Mira said softly. And sometimes timing is everything. Alina broke. Truly broke. She covered her face, letting the full weight of regret crush her. Not because she lost me, but because she finally understood that I no longer belonged to her story. After a moment, she lifted her head. Her voice was so fragile it almost disappeared in the wind. I hope she never hurts you, she whispered. And I hope you never regret choosing her over me. I shook my head gently. I won't, I said. Because choosing you again would be the real regret. She wiped the last tear from her cheek, nodding slowly, accepting her defeat, accepting the truth, accepting the consequences of the choices she made long ago. Then she turned and walked away. No dramatic pause. No final look back. No attempt to argue. Just silence. The kind of silence that marks the official end of a chapter. Mira squeezed my hand. You okay? She asked. I nodded. More than okay, I said. I feel free. She smiled softly and leaned her head on my shoulder. And as the night sky glimmered above us, I realized something deeply, undeniably true. Some people come into your life to teach you what love isn't. And some come to show you what love can be. Alina was the lesson. Mira was the gift. And I was finally done choosing pain. People imagine the biggest moments in life happen loudly. Fireworks, applause, dramatic music. But the truth is, life-changing moments often arrive as quietly as a breath. And the answer I gave Alina, the one she never expected, wasn't delivered with anger or revenge. It was delivered with peace. The night after the charity event felt strangely calm. I sat on the balcony of my penthouse, the city lights flickering below like restless fireflies, the cool wind brushing against my skin. Mira sat beside me, leaning on my shoulder, both of us wrapped in a silence that felt safe. But inside me, something was shifting. Not pain, not confusion, not pity, just clarity. Alina's tears, her desperation, her confession, all of it replayed in my mind. Not because I missed her, but because I finally understood what I needed to say, not for her, but for myself. Life had brought her back for one reason, so I could deliver an answer that ended all the remaining echoes of the past. The next morning, I received a message from her. I need to see you. Just one last time. Please. For a moment, I didn't reply. Not because I was unsure, but because I wanted to choose my words carefully. Then I wrote back. Meet me at the old cafe. Noon. It was the same cafe where she once told me I wasn't enough. The same place where my heart cracked for the first time. Returning there didn't feel like reopening a wound. It felt like stitching it closed. When I walked inside, she was already there, sitting at the same corner table we once shared. Her fingers clutched a warm cup of coffee she hadn't even touched. She looked up at me, and the first thing I noticed was the absence of pride. The woman who once looked at me like I was beneath her, now looked at me like I was the last person who could save her from drowning. Thank you for coming, she whispered. I pulled out the chair opposite hers and sat down, my posture calm, my breathing steady. I had no anger left, just truth. She stared at me for a long moment before finally speaking. I didn't sleep last night, she said quietly. I kept thinking about everything I said, everything I did. And I know you've moved on. I know you're not mine anymore. But there's something I still need to ask. I waited. She took a shaky breath. Did you ever really stop loving me? This was the question she feared. This was the question she hoped would give her a small piece of hope. But hope built on illusion is the worst kind of hope. I met her eyes, steady and unflinching. Yes, I said softly. She inhaled sharply, as if the words hit her physically. I stopped loving you the day you walked away because you didn't think I was enough. I stopped loving you the moment you chose money over loyalty. I stopped loving you the moment I realized your love depended on what I could give, not who I was. Her lips quivered. She wasn't expecting that level of honesty. I continued, my voice calm but firm. You weren't wrong for wanting a better life. But you were wrong for thinking I couldn't build one. And you were even more wrong for thinking someone richer automatically meant someone better. Her eyes filled again. But can I ever earn your forgiveness? She whispered. You already have it, I replied. She blinked in surprise. I forgave you a long time ago. Not because you deserved it, but because I didn't want your choices to define my future. Relief washed over her face, quickly followed by a small, painful smile. So, if you forgave me, does that mean there's still a chance for us? There it was. The moment she had been waiting for. The moment she had come hoping to hear. The moment I had come to finally bury. I leaned forward slightly. No, I said gently. There's no chance for us. Not in this life. The color drained from her face. I forgave you, I repeated. But that doesn't mean I want you back. Forgiveness isn't an invitation. It's closure. She stared at the table, tears dripping silently onto her hands. I love her, I said, my voice softening. Mira isn't a replacement. She's the person I was meant to find. She didn't come into my life when I was perfect. She came when I was broken. And she didn't run. She stayed. She believed in me before the world did. Alina closed her eyes, swallowing hard. And she loves me, I added. Not for what I have, but for who I am. I know, she whispered, voice cracking. I saw that. I nodded. And that's why my answer will never change. Her breathing hitched. What is your answer? She managed to ask. I exhaled quietly. My answer, I said, is goodbye. She froze. Not the dramatic goodbye filled with anger. Not the vengeful goodbye filled with bitterness. Just a simple, final, honest goodbye. I don't hate you, I continued. I don't resent you. I don't wish you pain. But you're not part of my story anymore. And I won't rewrite my life to include the person who walked out the first time. Her hands trembled as she wiped her tears. So that's it. That's it, I said gently. This is where our story finally ends. She looked at me for a long time. Really looked, seeing the man she once loved, and the man she could never have again. You changed, she whispered. I grew, I corrected. There's a difference. She nodded slowly, painfully. I hope she realizes what she has, she said softly. And I hope you never have to feel the kind of regret I'm feeling now. She stood up, her legs unsteady, her eyes red but accepting. Goodbye, she whispered. For the last time, I replied. She walked out of the cafe. She didn't look back. And for the first time, neither did I. When I returned home, Mira was on the couch, reading a book, sunlight pouring over her like a gentle spotlight. She looked up when I entered. How did it go? She asked, her voice warm. I walked toward her, feeling the weight of the past finally slide off my shoulders. I gave her my answer, I said. Mira smiled lightly. And what was it? I sat beside her, pulled her close, and kissed the top of her head. that she wasn't my future. She wrapped her arms around me, resting her head on my chest. "And what about me?" she whispered playfully. I held her tighter. "You're the answer," I said quietly. "The one she never expected I'd choose." And as I felt her heartbeat against mine, I understood something simple but profound. The right person doesn't just replace the wrong one. They make you wonder how the wrong one ever mattered at all.